This message is for you, and I want you to know that it is not a coincidence that your eyes fell upon these words. God says, don't try to skip this, don't try to scroll away, because this is exactly what you've been wrestling with in the secret places of your heart. The battle between love, loyalty, truth, and betrayal. The ache of asking yourself, if he says he loves me, then why does he also choose her? How can two choices exist at once? How can someone's lips speak of love while their actions are divided? And God says, I see every tear you've hidden, every sleepless night, every moment you've held your breath, praying that the answer would become clear. God says, I am stepping into this exact moment because I don't want you to be deceived by appearances, I don't want you to keep bleeding in silence. There is a truth you've been afraid to admit even to yourself, but God says I already know. I know you wonder why you weren't enough. I know you've looked in the mirror asking if there is something wrong with you, if perhaps you should have been more beautiful, more giving, more patient. I know you've replayed conversations in your head, trying to find the moment where you could have held tighter, given more, changed the outcome. But God says, stop tormenting yourself, because you are not the problem. You are not the flaw. You are not the reason his eyes wander, his heart hesitates, or his loyalty cracks. God says, this is not about your worth, because I already declared your worth before the foundations of the world. You are priceless, chosen, loved beyond what words can describe. But here is the truth, and it will sting, but it will also set you free. A man cannot serve two loves fully. He cannot pour himself into you and into her without something breaking, and God says, the brokenness will always show. He chooses you, but chooses her too, and that duplicity is not love, it is confusion. And confusion never comes from me. I am not the author of double minds or half-hearts. I am the author of clarity, loyalty, faithfulness, and truth. God says, what you are dealing with is a heart that is split, and a heart that is split cannot fully honor you. You ask for signs. God says, the signs have already been given, but your love made you hesitate to see them. You noticed how his words didn't always match his actions. You noticed how sometimes the tenderness was real, but other times it was distant. You noticed that when you confronted the silence, excuses came easier than honesty. You noticed that promises lingered but consistency faltered. God says, those are the signs. They are not small, they are not accidental, they are not things to brush away. They are warnings to your heart, so you do not remain trapped in a cycle of waiting for someone who has not yet chosen to be whole. But God also says, I am not here just to expose the pain. I am here to give you solutions, because you were never meant to sit endlessly in a valley of uncertainty. The first solution is truth. Stop pretending you don't see what I've already shown you. Truth may hurt, but lies will kill you slowly. God says, let truth be your sword and shield. Say to yourself, I deserve loyalty, I deserve faithfulness, I deserve to be someone's first and only choice. The second solution is clarity. Stop letting his indecision define your destiny. God says, if he has not chosen you fully, then he has already chosen against you. Because a man who truly sees your worth does not hesitate, does not juggle, does not keep you in a waiting room while he plays in another garden. God says, you will know the right love by its single-minded devotion, by the way it lifts you and not drains you, by the way it guards your heart instead of wounding it. The third solution is courage. God says, you must have the courage to walk away if the love you are given is divided. Don't stay out of fear of being alone, because loneliness with me is safer, sweeter, and more powerful than broken companionship with him. God says, don't settle for half when I designed you for fullness. Don't beg for scraps when I laid a feast for you. Don't tie your identity to someone's hesitation when I already wrote your identity in eternal ink. The fourth solution is surrender. Surrender this situation to me. Stop trying to control his heart, his choices, his actions. You can't love him into loyalty if loyalty isn't in him yet. You can't force commitment out of a fractured will. You can only bring it to me, and I will heal you, I will lead you, I will open the right doors and shut the wrong ones. God says, I will never allow you to lose what was truly meant for you. If this man is yours, then no other woman can stand in the way. But if he is not, then no amount of pleading will change it. Trust me enough to release it. And hear me, because this is the most urgent part. Your heart is too precious to keep on a battlefield where you are constantly asked to compete for love. You were not made to fight another woman for his attention. You were made to be cherished without rival. God says, if you stay in this tug of war, you will bleed yourself dry trying to prove something that should never need proof. Real love does not put you in competition. Real love does not make you doubt your place. Real love does not divide itself. I know you wonder, God, what if I lose him? God says, if he can be lost to another, then he was never truly yours. What I give you cannot be stolen. What I promise you cannot be broken. You think this loss will destroy you, but God says, this loss will make room for a miracle. Because while you are grieving the idea of him, I am preparing the reality of someone who will never make you wonder if you are enough. And I am whispering to you right now, don't chase, don't beg, don't bargain. Stand still and let me fight for you. Stand still and let me reveal the truth in full light. Stand still and let me show you that what is meant for you will not come with divided loyalties. You are my daughter, my chosen one, my beloved. Don't you see? I have never allowed you to walk alone. Even now, when your heart feels like it is splitting, I am carrying you. Even now, when the questions burn like fire, I am sending answers through this very message. So what are the signs and solutions? The signs are already in your memory, in your gut, in the ache that never leaves. The solutions are in your courage to accept truth, your clarity to step back, your courage to let go, and your faith to trust me. God says, when you do this, the chains of confusion will break, the fog will lift, and the love that comes to you will not make you question again. God is begging you, don't ignore this message, don't downplay it, don't silence the voice inside that already knows it's true. This is for you. This is your answer. Don't stay where loyalty is absent. Don't keep building where the foundation is cracked. Let go of what is divided, so I can give you what is whole. This is your moment. This is your turning point. God says, I choose you, I never split my choice. I never say I love you but also love another more. I am showing you what true devotion looks like so you will not accept less from man. I am the standard. I am the truth. I am the love that never leaves. And when you believe this, when you trust this, when you obey this, you will no longer fear being chosen second. Because in my eyes, you have always been chosen first. God is not finished speaking. Keep reading, don't skip this. God says, there are deeper layers to what you're feeling and why it hurts, and He will pull back each one so that you may see clearly. Hear this next truth: when a heart divides, the damage is not only to trust, it is to your sense of safety, to the home your spirit built around someone you believed would stay. God says, innocence is not weak, it is sacred. The fact that you loved with an open hand is not a fault, it is a virtue. But God says also, virtue without boundaries becomes a trap. Love that is open must also be wise. Let me unfold for you the emotional anatomy of this wound so you can begin to stitch it with heaven's thread. First, there is the morning you, the part of you that wakes hopeful, feeds on the small mercies, believes in the best. Then there is the waiting you, the part that rearranges plans around a message that never comes, that rehearses explanations for behaviors that feel like betrayals. Then there is the wounded you, the part that bruises and hides, that tells half-truths to your friends to keep your pride intact. God says He sees all three, and He says, you will not stay in any of these states forever. God gives you a twofold strategy now: repair and prepare. Repair is for today. Prepare is for tomorrow. For repair, begin with soft mercies toward yourself. When everyone around you offers platitudes that feel hollow, let me be your consolation. Let me replace your internal critic with a gentle, steady voice that says, you tried with everything you had. That alone demands honor. You are permitted to grieve. You are permitted to be angry. You are permitted to leave the table when the food is poisoned by lies. Permission, God says, is the first brick of healing. Next, bring boundaries into your life like light. Boundaries are not punishments, they are clear lines that protect your heart. When He calls at odd hours with apologies that smell of repetition, respond in ways that preserve your dignity. When invitations come cloaked as harmless but continue a pattern of divided affection, decline. God says, each boundary you set is a sacred no that leaves space for a yes that is whole. You will be amazed how the world rearranges itself when you refuse to be the ground on which two lovers test their loyalty. Prepare, God says, for a future that is unexpectedly beautiful. Imagine someone who chooses you with both hands, who speaks in commitments that match actions and keeps his promises not because he fears loss, but because love has matured within him. This is not fantasy, it is prophecy for a life that chooses you rightly. While you are repairing, start small practices that ready you for that love, deepen your hobbies, fortify friendships, reclaim your evenings, allow laughter back into rooms where silence had crept. These are not distractions, they are scaffolding. They hold you steady while the structure of your life is rebuilt. God also gives you practical words to speak when the time comes to confront the divided heart. Speak plainly, but do not be cruel. Say what has been true in the manner that is true. I deserve loyalty. I deserve certainty. I deserve to be the priority, not the option. If he chooses to argue instead of answer, God says, let that reveal not protect him. If he offers change but no plan, let that show you the pattern. Good intentions without a map end in the same place. God says, ask for specifics. Ask for dates. Ask for consistency. Ask for proof that words will be matched by acts. If he cannot give you that, then you must guard your heart as if it were a delicate instrument, because it is. Listen to this, forgiveness and restoration are not the same thing. Do not confuse the blessing of forgiving someone with the necessity of allowing them back into your closest spaces. Forgiveness sets you free from bitterness. Restoration requires evidence of changed fruit. God says, don't open your gates simply because someone rings the bell with honeyed speech. Demand the fruit. Restoration must be slow, transparent, accountable. If he is willing to rebuild, let him show you the blueprint before you hand him the keys. There will be days you will stumble. You will text out of loneliness, you will go to places you used to go together, you will want to compare the new woman to yourself and win some small imagined war that proves you superior. God says, stop those games. They only deepen the wound. Comparison is a thief that steals the beauty of your story and leaves you with a list of imagined victories that mean nothing to your soul. Your worth is not measured by how you stand in someone else's ranking. You are not in a contest. You asked earlier for signs, more signs, and God gives you a list you can hold like a lamp in the dark. Consistent communication not dictated by convenience, presence when it costs him something, transparency rather than secrecy, a willingness to rearrange life for you rather than ask you to rearrange your life for him. If these lights appear, remain. If they flicker, beware. If they are absent, do not beg light into a room that is built without windows. God also speaks to the fear that follows separation, the fear that you will never recover, the fear that single life equals failure. Hear this now, fear is a liar. Singleness is not a sentence, it is a season. There is a sacredness to being single that allows you to become someone who no longer needs to be rescued. In this season you can recreate your temple of self-respect. Use it to study your heart, to learn your triggers, to rewrite the stories you tell yourself about love. God says, the stronger you become alone, the less likely you are to return to a half-formed love. Now, a spiritual weapon, prayer that renames your pain. Not the kind of prayer that asks God to erase memory, but the kind that asks for meaning. When you feel consumed by why, pray instead, what will you make of this, God? Ask for transformation rather than just relief. God says He will not waste your tears. They will water seeds you cannot yet see. He will bring beauty from the ashes if you will let Him. And practical faith, begin small acts of obedience that remind you of your value. Attend the friend who always shows up. Say yes to opportunities your old relationship would have vetoed. Spend money on yourself that affirms your dignity, not on attempts to buy back a love that discounts you. These acts are not vanity, they are declarations that you are worthy of investment. There are moments, God says, when He will bring someone new into your life, and it may feel wild to hope. Hope, in this case, is not reckless, it is sacred anticipation. But He warns you, do not enter a new relationship carrying the suitcase of the last one. Empty the suitcase. Do the inner work. Do not premiere a new love with a heart still bound to another. That will only replicate the old patterns. Heal first, love second. You may wonder about the other woman. God says, look past her as an enemy and look at her as a human who is also complicated. Sometimes she is unaware, sometimes she is complicit, sometimes she is simultaneously victim and actor. God says, do not spend your power obsessing about her. Your power is better spent on yourself. Pray for wisdom, not for revenge. Pray to be free, not to bind another. When you pray for her, you disarm bitterness and you open a path for your own release. There will be times when you must make a public cut, a social or digital separation. Remove the pictures, mute the updates, rearrange your calendar so you no longer collide. God says, sanctify your social spaces. Do not leave traps for your heart. Each small act of separation is not cowardice, it is courage. It tells your soul that you are determined to protect your interior life. And finally, remember covenant. God has not forgotten about covenant. He honors covenant keepers. He is forming you into someone who keeps covenant with herself first, who does not trade her values for temporary comfort. God says when you honor your covenant to protect your heart, He will honor His covenant to bring the one who fully chooses you. This is not flattery, it is a strategy. This is not fantasy, it is a promise. This is not a gentle whisper, it is an emergency broadcast to your soul. Choose yourself in ways that reflect the God who chose you. You do not have to be perfect to be loved, but you do have to be whole enough to refuse what is half-hearted. Hold to this message. Let it sit in you like a seed. Tend it with prayer, water it with boundaries, shelter it with companionship, and in time you will see a harvest you could not have imagined when you were still learning how to stop bleeding for someone who refused to bandage your wounds. God continues, don't skip this because it is that strengthens the backbone of your soul. You've asked, why does he choose her too? And God says, the answer is not in him alone, it is also in the way your heart is being trained. This season is shaping your discernment, teaching you to read hearts like you read scripture. He wants you to understand that love is not measured by how many are interested in you. Love is measured by how consistent, loyal, and fearless someone is in choosing only you. The lesson here is not punishment, it is preparation. God says, do not mistake heartbreak for failure. Heartbreak is a blueprint for your next encounter with love, one that will be unshakable because you will recognize loyalty immediately. God is showing you that the divided choice is never sustainable. A man who loves too, even secretly, is living in a shadow, not in light. God says, darkness can never produce the clarity your heart needs. Shadows shift, but they never hold form. Do not try to carve permanence from the shifting. Your duty is to stand in light, even if that light exposes someone else's duplicity. God says, look at the moments that feel off, the text that is delayed, the calls that are inconvenient, the promises that evaporate under pressure. These are not small things. They are the compass pointing to truth. Your pain is the signal, do not dismiss it. And God is telling you something radical. Stop explaining yourself to Him. Stop justifying your value. Stop trying to prove that you are enough. You are already enough. God says, if He cannot see your worth without you performing, then He is not ready for what you offer. Stop bending your spirit to fit someone else's indecision. Your spirit was not made to be twisted. It was made to stand tall, to shine, to attract a love that does not make you question your place. God says, there are solutions, and they are in 4 divine actions: discern, detach, define, and declare. First, discern, look carefully at His actions and words. Measure them against loyalty, consistency, and respect. Discern whether His heart is capable of single-minded love. Second, detach, emotionally, spiritually, and even physically, remove yourself from the gravitational pull of His divided choices. Detachment does not mean hatred, it means protection. Third, define, set your non-negotiables clearly. Define what love looks like for you, and refuse anything less. Fourth, declare, tell your heart, your friends, and yes, even God, that you will not settle for halves. Declare it aloud. Power grows in spoken truth. Now, God speaks to the deeper fear that sometimes rises, the fear that leaving Him will make you lonely, that no one else will ever choose you fully. God says, that fear is a mirage. There is a love designed just for you that will not require compromise of your soul. A love that chooses you wholly will come not because you deserve it, but because it is ordained. God says, when you choose yourself and refuse divided affection, you align with divine timing. When you honor your own worth, you synchronize with the person who will honor it fully. God also says, protect your mind. Stop replaying the scenarios that confuse you. Stop imagining conversations that never happened. Stop analyzing what might have been. The mind is a battlefield. Guard it. Fill it with prayer, scripture, affirmations, and truths about your identity. Remind yourself daily, I am chosen. I am loved. I am worthy of loyalty. These truths are not optional, they are armor. There will be moments of temptation, to call him, to forgive too early, to insert yourself back into a space that is not yours. God says, these are tests of discipline. The first victory is in saying no. The second victory is in maintaining boundaries. The third victory is in holding hope for what is truly meant for you, rather than what is available now. God says, discipline today secures freedom tomorrow. And God warns, do not let bitterness take root. Bitterness is a slow poison. It will warp your expectations, cloud your vision, and make you doubt whether love exists at all. God says, forgive internally, even if restoration is impossible. Let your heart release the grip on anger, not for him, but for you. Freedom grows in forgiveness. Strength grows in letting go. Peace grows in surrender. Your heart must also be vigilant for patterns. If this man has chosen divided affection more than once, God says, this is not a phase, it is his nature. You cannot change nature, you can only respond to it. Accept reality without resentment. Reality is the soil in which God plants miracles. Misreading reality only delays the miracle. There is also a promise: when you align with God in protecting your heart, He will bring into your life people who mirror this divine truth. Friends, mentors, and eventually a love who never wavers. God says, their loyalty will feel like a breeze, not a storm. Their affection will be steady, their commitment visible, and their love evident in both small and large acts. This is the contrast that will make the previous pain meaningful. Now, God commands, embrace solitude as a sacred space. Do not fear silence. Do not despise aloneness. In solitude, you will hear my voice more clearly. In solitude, you will see patterns you ignored in chaos. In solitude, you will learn to love yourself in ways no other person can teach. God says, when your love for yourself reaches full bloom, the right person will enter without causing uproar in your soul.